There is something magical about tulips. Their stunning colours and graceful shapes just captivate me. For years, I've dreamed of having my own tulip bed. So this year, I'm finally bringing that dream to life. And I had the perfect spot in my garden picked out. On a perfect October morning, I grabbed my tools, called for rocket, and we headed out. The forecast was calling for rain in the afternoon, and once it starts, it won't stop. So I knew this was my window to get it done. At the very back of our yard, we have a white shed sitting along the forest edge. I thought the white would give the tulips a perfect clean backdrop and really let them stand out and shine. I could already envision how lovely they would look, except I knew this would need some work before we could get to that point. We'd never had anything growing here before, but I assumed the previous owner once used this spot as a flower bed, as the soil was soft and fluffy, and there was a wooden border separating it from the grass and the nearby rock garden. It felt intentional, like it had a purpose, so I wanted to bring it back to life and make good use of it. There is such a huge selection of tulip colours, I found it so hard to pick. So as this was my first tulip planting season, I thought I would start with a mixed bag and see how I like it. These mixed bags are also discounted, so it felt like an easier entry point. I started by removing the top layer of soil. And then... yeah, I guess there was a reason why there was nothing growing here before. Beneath that soft, fluffy soil was a layer of hard, compacted clay. Far from ideal growing conditions, especially for tulips. Still determined to create my spring tulip bed, there was only one thing to do. Here we go. At this point, I was actually thankful I'd only picked up one bag of tulip bulbs. I originally thought a bag of 40 would easily fill this entire bed, but when I spaced them out properly, I realized just how wrong I was. I had a choice: rush back to the store or beat the rain and just get these ones in the ground. I decided to keep going, and now knowing the amount of manual labor ahead, I'm kind of glad my math was off. It meant I only had to loosen up the soil in this small area today instead of tackling the entire bed. Now, I know what I'm doing might raise a few eyebrows. Some gardeners are firmly in the no-till camp, and honestly, I love that idea. It's great for keeping the soil structure intact and protecting all those beneficial organisms. But I was on a bit of a time crunch. Ideally, I could have planted some cover crops or deep-rooted plants to slowly break up the hard clay soil. But since I was short on time and eager to have my tulip bed ready next spring, I chose to manually till this section instead. And honestly, with all these giant rocks that you see me pulling out, I feel like I made the right decision. I will now have the peace of mind that these tulips will be setting their roots in some rock-free soil. Knowing that now I had disturbed nutrients and organisms in the soil with my tilling, I knew that I would have to add some back into the bed before I placed my tulips. Fortunately, earlier this summer, I had a big load of mushroom compost delivered and I still had a huge pile left, so I planned to use some of that to help out this bed. With my husband as the reinforcement helping with the bed dig out, we had dug down a little deeper than we needed so that we could be sure the tulip roots would have some rock-free space beneath them to enjoy. Now I could use my mushroom compost to fill in the bottom of the bed, but I wanted to mix it into the natural soil a little, so it wasn't just a hard cutoff between where my compost and the natural soil meet. Now, with a nice bottom layer of compost put down, it was finally time to start the planting for the tulip rows. I followed the instructions on the bag and measured out rows spaced 10 centimeters apart, which is 4 inches. And now time for the fun stuff. I plan to plant the bulbs 10 centimeters apart within each row, forming a neat, even grid of tulips. Here we go! it was around this point that I realised there were not, in fact, 40 bulbs in this bag, but only 38. So I needed to reorganise my tulip grid. It wouldn't be a perfect grid now, but I managed to space them out in a way that would still feel like they were arranged neatly. And after some reordering, they were ready. Look at them all standing neatly in a row. I can't wait to see what colours they become. Now onto the finishing touches. I plan to cover these with a mix of the mushroom compost and the native soil that was already here. I would then also add a layer of mulch on top to keep them nice and cozy over winter. After I'd neatly covered them, I realised I might forget where in the bed I had placed them, so I thought I'd put some of those big old rocks we dug up to some good use. I placed them around the edges so that I would know where to place my mulch when it came time. After a little cleanup, I think there isn't much left but to cross my fingers and get inside before the rain. I definitely ran into a few hiccups, mostly my own doing. But that's how we learn for next year, right? Would you have grabbed more bulbs or tried planting something to help loosen the soil naturally? Let me know in the comments, I'd really love to hear your thoughts. And are you planning for spring blooms of your own? If so, I hope this gives you a little inspiration and maybe a few lessons from my own mistakes. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.